So I noticed that there's like bird eggs that are broken. This is just, we're not on that level yet because we weren't around in Pangea with what Pangea brought, such as us here. We have a stark ability to have a different advance, one that's better than just looking at sprites or fishes in the air or the water. And I think it would have to do with the flow dynamics of filaments of different fabric obstacles. In topology, you have a thing where it capitalizes off of transformation. You can look at a Cheerio and a mug as the same thing if it achieves the ultimate transformation state. And if it achieves that at a sustained ability, constant, it'll have a maximum aptitude for transformations from a Cheerio to a mug. And is this what a sound state for solid structures are trying to achieve? For the chaotic interplay of entropy, where it's not a solid or a wave. I say a wave and liquid, they're very much the same, just as a vote and an opinion are very much similar, but some choose not to vote. The difference of a mug and a Cheerio is just the transmissibility from the transformation. But the transmissibility cannot be happened unless there's a transformation enabled. Have somewhat of a flow rate, and this will be based off the left and the right of what's containing the water. Because if the water isn't contained, like inside of a pond or a bathtub where the walls are just not there, then the water would just not have any volume. Imagine the entire earth, if there wasn't any coastlines, the water would just flow out everywhere. And would it cover the entire earth? Probably. So that's why dikes are important. How did dikes happen is the existence of Pangea. And let's look at this for a moment. This is a corpse and its cocoon, which was its exoskeleton in a moment of time. Both have perished. I think it wasn't able to transmute into a butterfly. Maybe it got confused and so it got thrown off of the axis of its transformation. So its transmittability was lackluster. Its transformation didn't occur. Both were offset. The cocoon was obsolete, probably making the caterpillar succumb to a fatality. Turning the vessel of the caterpillar gutless, almost as the cocoon were to begin with. This is horrific, my God. The caterpillar is just picking up the wind breeze from its hair and shaking in the wind. It's caught on its cocoon, because when it's leaving off of the cocoon, it would be succumb to it within being stuck. I don't know if that's how it happened, but my God, that's horrific. So the Pangea is important. I think that's what established all the dikes. And a dike, if you don't know, is a hill. And it's more pronounced than hills because a dike has its edges on either side more vertical, as opposed to a hill would be more rounded. So when you see a dike, it looks almost as like an Olympic horse in the gymnastics term. So why dikes are probably so important is that I think those are what were in the mapping of Pangea from the very start. And then they just got spread out when Pangea broke from the bottom of its base plates expanding, and the dikes would become more pronounced. But they were there from the wearing like a scrunchie on my hair, and it is like faceted down. That stays faceted down even when I put on a hat, and the hat has a tightness that wavers around with the crown of the head, and so now I have like 2 points of articulation. You know, like an action figure can move its wrist and its fingers, then that means it has 2 points of articulation. But you can get crafty and say each finger is a point of articulation. And so in my hair, I've got all my hair follicles, and then at the tips of my hair there's a lot of split ends because I don't get haircuts. And what I do, I just cut them myself, and I just BS around. From point A, the follicle, to point B, the split ends, I have the scrunchie, which is getting like a bulk of hair and having it be tight. And then I have my hat on, and then that has like more of a encumbering around the top of my head, but mainly around the crown. And so when those two are enacted together, the tightness of my hair is bound in like two areas, but over a vast amount of hairs. Konnichiwa. And then they left. And so then not a lot of people even knew that that was like a talking point of the major networks, and how the obscurity tried to be promiscuous in achieving a location because it can't come out of thin air. It was hard to get just that. That was a major point that was even hard to get because the Chinese president, there was nothing that was released over here, and all the eyes of the people in the hysteria turned back to the leader of the free world, the president, to scrutinize him shutting down borders of planes, which now talk of a new that president got wiped out. The processes were altered to a mail-in ballot, which was something as easy as not needing any identification, and dogs out of thin air voting. Processes of a computer glitch are somewhat questionable. President's so promiscuous. He's questioning to shut everything down in a lockdown again because people aren't listening to following the orders of shooting themselves with chemicals released out into the streets to come in. That's the lobster trap with the wide open mouth. The lobster walks in gingerly because it's a funnel open. And then for the citizens inside, they can't get back out through the lobster trap door because the funnel gate is closed, being shorter because the lobster, having long arms, can't squeeze them back and put them into the mouth of the funnel. The rules of the road. Do you know how much time we spend driving? Everyone understands there's a collective census of what a stoplight means. Everyone knows you can't park near a fire hydrant. What if there's rules that aren't? Such as coming out of the mouth of a turn, not to park right there, because if there's ice and if this was going downhill, you'd be a likely candidate to get hit. And so you would see people not parking at a open mouth of a turn for that reason alone. Whereas we can just read eggs that are on the land, they would be able to see, well, an equivalent to an egg within the weather. What would an egg in the weather be? I'd say sprites or small flashes of lightning across the land. Because when you're on top of a dike, hashtag on top of a dike, then you're able to see things that you are unable to see on the bottom of a dike. Hashtag bottom of a dike. such as sprites. A sprite is like a lightning bolt, but it's smaller and it just flashes like a lot quicker, so you're unable to see it from the ground